Welcome to the Academic Writing Amplified podcast. On this podcast, we believe that the culture of academia needs to change radically. Women and non-binary people are revolutionizing academia within institutions that were not built for us. If you're ready to reject the culture of overwork, kick guilt and overwhelm to the curb, and amplify your voice to make a real impact on your field without breaking down or burning out, you're in the right place. With our team of experienced writing coaches as co-hosts, we'll share insights and talk to inspiring guests to bring you the practical strategies, systems, and mindset shifts you need to find time to write, publish work you love, and design your career on your terms. And it all starts with writing. Let's go. Hello. This is Kathy, and I'm just popping in here before this episode to thank you so much for listening. Now, the next few episodes on the podcast are going to be re-releases of our most popular episode about the post-tenure experience. That's because we're getting ready to enroll our post-tenure, mid-career, even into late career program, which is called Elevate. Now, Elevate is a 6-month program that runs from February to July of 2023. Yes, we enroll early. We want to give you lots of time to find out all the information about the program and decide if it's right for you. Elevate is an application-only program. It's also a program that centers the one-on-one coaching experience. So there's lots of juicy one-on-one calls, there's group calls, and there's also workshops in our Elevate program. On October 5th, 2022, we will be doing an information session live for you where you can come find out all about the program and get any questions answered. So find that link in the show notes where you can register for our live Elevate info session, which is coming up October 5th. As long as you register, you can come live or we'll send you the recording as always. And during that info session, you will get all the information about the program and how to apply. All right, enjoy this re-release mid-career episode. I remember when I got the official news that I got tenure. It came in the form of a certification, literally a PDF attached to an email. It was a very formal letter stamped with the university seal, and it had a certification number just for me. But here's the things it didn't come with, okay? It didn't come with trumpets blazing an anthem written in my honor. I was really disappointed about that. It didn't come with any less work, stress, or pressure. And actually, it didn't come with a clear sense of purpose and direction. And though I was super proud of this major accomplishment, right? Getting tenure is huge. It didn't feel as exciting as I thought it would. In fact, it was kind of frustrating and disorienting. I felt like I wasn't making any real impact in my work, even after working so hard and really pushing for tenure. And that was just like so disappointing. Post-tenure, we're ready for limitless possibilities. We've been building up this moment of post-tenure in our heads for so long, right? Like we have been thinking that once we get tenure or promotion, depending on your system, right? That you are going to be able to like shake off the cocoon and reveal your true butterfly self, right? But between admin tasks, supporting newer faculty, and always fighting fires, our time and energy levels still feel extremely limited. Tenure doesn't really change that. I knew that there was something more for me in my career. So in that tenure, the first moments post-tenure, I knew there was something else. I knew there was something big, but I didn't know how to access it. And let me turn back the clock a little and give you, if you're willing to indulge me, kind of an overview of my tenure journey. And actually, I'd like to talk about a bunch of my mid-career journey with you. That's because I want you to hear stories about how careers unfold, because we have a really set picture of what's going to happen from one career stage to the next. And that's just like not always what happens. So I got tenure after a long delay. And the delay went like this, right? I started at the University of Puerto Rico in 2006. And 2007, I think, is when kind of the financial crisis really started, right? The Great Recession was starting in the States. And the way that it looked like in my corner of the world in Puerto Rico was very much like a tightening. And so in the first couple years, so I guess I started maybe in 2000, I can't remember. So it was like 2006 to 2007 was probably my first year. And then 2007, 2008, right? So 2008 was the Great Recession. And then like this kind of tightening started. So pre-tightening, we had access to yearly cost of living raises. Okay. So I think we got a 2% cost of living raise every year. Every year we would get, I don't know, $500 or $600 in materials, like just this little bonus that we could use to buy ourselves a printer or materials or books or whatever we wanted, right? We had access to sabbaticals. You had to be tenured to have a sabbatical, but we had access to sabbaticals. We actually accumulated vacation days, even though like it was very strange. You couldn't really take them during the semester. So professors would just like accumulate vacation days. And then at a certain point, when you would hit a certain number of vacation days, you could get them paid out to you in cash. So with those examples, I'll just say that it was like, wow, this is kind of cushy and nice. And I have access to resources. Well, after 2008, so I would say in the 2008, 2009 year, Great Recession, things start to really tighten. And of course, there's a different political and economic history going on in Puerto Rico than there is going on in the States at that time. The two, obviously, Puerto Rico is affected by what's going on in the States, but we're also suffering our own stuff that ended up in, absolute fiscal crisis. But in 2008, 2009, around then, was actually the year that I went up for associate professor. So in my university system, it was after 3 years, you go up for associate, you get associate, then you get tenure. Like tenure doesn't come with a raise. It's just permanency. And it's not as big of a deal. So I can't remember if it's like a year or 2 years after that, you can go up for tenure. And then whenever you want after that, you can go up for full. So that third year, I submitted my promotion materials, and that promotion, the promotion from assistant to associate at my university, is the one that came with the raise. Okay. So it's the one that came with the title change and the raise. And then the tenure part you got later. And it wasn't as big of a deal in terms of like ease of getting or like people looking forward to getting it, because it was just a title change. It didn't come with a raise or anything. And it's not even title change. It was just permanency. All right. So this financial crisis is starting, right? The Great Recession is starting. Puerto Rico is starting to tighten and tighten. And what happened was that everybody who went up for a promotion that year got put on a wait list. And basically we were told, when we have the money, we will promote you. And I sat on the wait list. I got a lovely letter that said, congratulations, we would have promoted you if we had the money. But since we don't have the money, you are on the wait list. And we spent years on the wait list, at least 2 years. And so all of that salary raise that I might have gotten, I didn't get, for those years. The rank raise, I also didn't get. And so it was a really miserable thing. We were on the edge of our seats waiting to see whether we would get promoted or not and when. There was no deadline. There was nothing. Meanwhile, the cuts are happening. So they cut the cost of living raise. They cut the materials allowance. They cut sabbaticals, right? So I could never take a sabbatical because I hadn't gotten far enough in my career. Like you had to be tenured to have the sabbatical. And I never got there before they cut them. And they're still cut. So it was like 10, 12 years later, they're still cut. Not 10 years later, sorry. All these years later, they're still cut. Yeah, it is 10 years later, more than that. Anyway, it was a miserable time. And so I finally, I think I probably went up for tenure, which doesn't have the raise, before I even got the final notice of getting associate level and getting that promotion. So it shouldn't be too surprising that it was wah, 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 or finally, that was the energy around it. It wasn't like this, I went up and yay, I did it, because it was this delayed gratification and delayed payoff for so long. I had 2 kids by the time I got that promotion. And I thought I would just hang out with 2 kids. That was fine. Because of things that happened in my life, particularly the death of my father-in-law, my husband and I reevaluated. He always wanted to have a ton of kids. I was like, we reevaluated and we're like, okay, we can have another kid. So I actually got promoted to full during my maternity leave. So in there somewhere, I can't even remember. This is how anticlimactic it was. Are you hearing this? I don't even remember the date I got full because it was so anticlimactic. So I got full professor. Yay. Had another baby. Yay. But not yay. I was stuck at the very top of the promotion ladder at an institution that was squeezing every last bit out of its faculty in the midst of an increasingly devastating financial crisis. So by the time I go up for full and by the time I have baby 3, Puerto Rico is in an all-out crisis. The university's been told that they need to cut $500 million from their budget. There's all of this kind of civil unrest around the university and the university wanting to raise tuition, but the students saying no, and many faculty members too saying no. It was all a wreck, really, in a very turbulent time. The big dreams that I had for international collaborations, for building a prestigious research center and establishing an interdisciplinary PhD program were crushed. Nobody in the admin wanted you to do anything extra. They didn't really want new programs. New programs at my university took 10 years to get approved anyway. They didn't really want new programs. They didn't really want you. They want you to bring in the money, but they didn't want to give you release time to actually do the projects that you brought in the money for. It was shut up and teach was the message that we were getting. And there was this constant threat that our 4.4 load was going to get put up to a 5.5 for the same amount of pay. So it became clear to me that none of these big dreamy things were going to happen because the institution where I was just not allowing for that kind of growth. So the international collaborations, the research center, the PhD program, all of that, it became clear that I would have to fight so hard for those things that it just didn't feel, it felt like I was going to burn out if I tried to fight for that. And so at the same time, though, I'm full. So there's literally nowhere else for me to go. I'm I can't grow anymore in the position. I can't grow anymore in terms of salary. I'm just stuck there. Now, thankfully, I figured out that my zone of genius was actually not dependent on that particular container of the University of Puerto Rico in which I was operating at the time. And I decided to build my own container, this business. And it was the best decision I ever made. Saying it like that makes it all seem really clean and really clear and really logical. The path was straight and I knew exactly what I was doing. But this is just hindsight, which is always 2020. I absolutely did not know what was next for me, even if I was increasingly sure that it was not possible for me to create it inside my university. And if you would have asked me in 2015 where I'd be in 2021, I would have never imagined that I would have created 2 years of self-funded sabbatical that ended last summer with me resigning my academic position. So if you, like I have, reached that coveted tenure spot and you're thinking like, I don't have a clue what's next for me, I want you to hear this, okay? I want you to hear if any of this resonates with you. So not only are you still feeling overworked, overwhelmed, and maybe burnt out, but maybe you're even considering quitting this fight altogether. Add the emotional exhaustion of, 2020 and the pandemic and everything on top of it, and it's really been a roller coaster. So there's a zillion ways in which this mid-career or post-tenure moment can be really frustrating. So I just want to list them out so that you can see if any of this sounds like you. All right. All right. You feel tired and overbooked because there are too many projects that need to be done. You're getting tied up with administrative tasks rather than working on the stuff you really want to be working on, like your writing. You have so many teaching and advising deadlines that you don't seem to be able to do anything else. You have big dreams, but you don't see anyone on campus thinking in similar ways to you with dreams that are kind of big enough. You're feeling uninspired and maybe even questioning your validity on this path. And there's a ton of other feelings and thoughts that we can get post-tenure. We try to push through all of this and meet the demands of a job that is clearly not all we hoped it would be. And then we blame ourselves when we can't get to a place in our work that feels good. I mean, the bottom line here is that if you thought everything's going to change when I get tenure or when I get promoted, right? Again, depending on your system. If you thought everything's going to change and I'm finally going to be able to live out my dreams, you probably are saying, wow, I was really wrong about that. And that's because I think it's really a minority of people who are able to make big changes post-tenure. Actually, what I really want to drive home today is that nothing changes with tenure. Like, yes, okay, let me take that back. That came from a really privileged spot. Some things change. Your stability in the job changes. Perhaps you make more money. Yes, absolutely. So the feeling of who you are post-tenure potentially can feel more stable, right? And more secure because you have those kind of systemic benefits that you get with promotion and with tenure. And also with a raise, which often happens at this stage in the career. So it's not that it doesn't change anything, but it doesn't change the day-to-day feelings that you have. It doesn't change the day-to-day way you're managing your career. If you feel like you were running on a treadmill set too fast pre-tenure, that's how you will feel post-tenure. Tenure doesn't change that. If you are taking on a bunch of service responsibilities or you took on an admin position, that means that your own writing and research has been sidelined and you're kind of dying to get back to it. That feeling of like, oh, I wish I could just get to my stuff and stop putting out other people's fires, that will not change with tenure or promotion. You have to change that. You have to change that. So I want to talk a little bit about my Elevate program, which is designed exactly for this mid-career moment, right? When I first started thinking about Elevate, it was actually after I had created Amplify, because of course, once I created Amplify, which is for early career and pre-tenure scholars, a bunch of people came out of the woodwork and were like, but what about us? We're post-tenure. So what I did was I kind of did an info session type of thing. It's different from the info session I'm going to talk to you about now, but I did like a webinar kind of thing where I was just like, if you want to just come and talk about what it feels like to be post-tenure, let's do it. And we got on a Zoom call with probably 30 to 50 academics. And we just talked about like what we felt currently and where we wanted to go. And then after that, I actually got on the phone with many, many, many of the people who came during that webinar and just talked to them for 45 minutes each about their careers and what it would look like to change your career and to up level that mid-tenure moment. So after I did all of that, my coaching team and I built the Elevate program. And it is a program to help mid and late career academics step into the next level of their careers so that they can achieve higher levels of success and have a bigger impact on the world. I think of Elevate as the legacy building program. That doesn't mean that you need to know what your legacy is going to be before you join the program, but rather that Elevate is full of people who want to build a legacy, who see something bigger in their career, that they don't want to have the career feel the same that it did pre-tenure, that they want it to feel different. They want to take on something new and big. They want to go up for full. They want to land big grants. They want to maybe take on an admin position, but one that they want, right? They want to found a research center. Maybe they want to go on the market. Okay. And that's what Elevate's about. It's about figuring out what that up level looks like for you and then making it happen. It's a 6-month program because it is both of those things. It's the figuring out and it's also the action taking. So if you're mid-career or even late career and you feel exhaustion, indecision, feeling lost at sea, if you have a realization that your career is not going where you want it to go, it's really like it's time to stop all of that. It's time to elevate your academic mission. It's time to finally start valuing your time. It's time to manage your projects in a way that really works for you, not for everybody else. And I said your projects, not other people's projects, not other people's fires. Stop putting out other people's fires and focus on your stuff. It's time for you to plan your writing strategically to support whatever that next up-level step is for you. And it's time to really dig into what your legacy is going to be. So if you know that there is something more you want to do in your career, like something bigger, more satisfying, more legacy creating, then I want you to know that my coaching team and I created Elevate for exactly that. Now, it's early September. Elevate isn't starting until February. However, we know that people need time to get their stuff in order, to figure out their funding, to, think about and learn more deeply about the program before they decide to commit, because it really is a high-level coaching program. There is group coaching to it, but there's also monthly one-on-ones. So it's as close to a one-on-one program as we ever do. It does have a curriculum. Of course, every month there's a workshop on the curriculum, there's a group call, and there's a one-on-one call. And we are not just helping you get clarity around what that next level is, but we are helping you figure out how you are going to get there. So it's an action-oriented program. It's about doing things that are going to make that next level in your career, whatever you decide it's going to be. We're going to help you to get there. You're going to have the support and be in the room with other amazing mid-career scholars who are going to support you and support each other as you realize the career that you really want to have in the way that you want to make it feel with the legacy building outcome that you deserve. So in about a month, in the first week of October, we are going to be doing an information session about our Elevate program. And you're hearing about it here for the first time. In the show notes to this episode will be the link where you can go and register for our Elevate info session. In the info session, it is exactly what it sounds like. It is an information session where we are going to explain to you who the Elevate program is for. We're going to give you some examples of clients who have had really great success with the program and have enjoyed it and have gotten what they wanted out of it. So you can see if that's the kind of transformation that you're looking for. And we're going to go through kind of the behind the scenes, nitty gritty look at what each month of the 6-month program is about. There's a framework for this program. Of course, all my programs have frameworks. So you'll learn exactly what we teach in each of the 6 workshops. And then you will learn more about how we do one-on-one and group coaching as part of this program as well. And lots of other program goodies that you are going to want to experience. At the end of the info session, if you feel like this is a program for you, we will invite you to apply. And then once you apply, I'll review applications and then we'll form the cohorts from there. But right now, if you are interested in Elevate, if you are post-tenure, if you are post first big promotion in other systems, just like, my system was actually, if you consider yourself mid-career or even late career, but are looking to build legacy, you are frustrated. You're like, I know that I can be more awesome if these people would just let me be, right? If this institution would just let me bloom and thrive and step into my own, if that's how you're feeling, then Elevate is something that I would really love for you to learn more about at our info session. So go check out the link. Know that I understand very deeply what you're going through. You'll hear even more about my own story with this kind of decision about whether to lean in or walk. And I decided to walk, right? Not what we teach everybody to do, but definitely people think about it. But that's what we talk about in this program, figuring out what that up level looks like for you. I can't wait for you to hear all about it. So register for the info session today.
Thank you so much for spending your valuable time supporting yourself and your writing by listening to this episode. If you like what you heard today, the best way to say thank you is to hop on over to Apple iTunes and write an honest review. The more reviews, the more amazing academic women and non-binary people will find this podcast. So go write one now.